Everyone knows Stephen Hawking, a genius brain locked in a decaying body. Stephen Hawking died from amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, also known as ALS, a disease with no cure to date. Hi, I'm Dr. Gil Ben Menachem, the CEO of NeuroMagen Pharma. We are developing a new class of drugs for neurodegenerative diseases. NeuroMagen's near-term focus is on one of our compounds, NT499, which delays the onset and the progression of ALS. It is not known what causes ALS. The patient's motor neuron gradually die, and the muscles activated by these neurons are wasted and become paralyzed. As the disease progresses, the patients will have difficulty speaking, moving, and eating. And when the paralysis reaches the respiratory system, the patients will die, typically within 2 to 5 years from diagnosis. Taking care of an ALS patient is a heavy burden for their family members. Their care is required 24 hours a day. Some of them often quit their jobs, and they also incur out-of-pocket expenses estimated at $250,000 per patient. In the US alone, about 5,000 new ALS cases are diagnosed every year, and there are about 35,000 living patients overall. These numbers are expected to significantly grow over the next few years with the aging of the population. And sadly, currently, there are no cures for ALS. The only therapeutic help ALS patients can get is in the form of symptoms relief. The two drugs which are approved are Riluzole, a generic drug that typically extends the patient's life only in 3 months, and Radicava, which is a drug with limited effect, if any. It was recently approved in the US, but it was rejected by the EU. Nevertheless, it sold $250 million in 2019. This high demand demonstrates the unmet medical need for safe and effective drugs for ALS. According to global data, the ALS drug market is expected to grow from $200 million in 2018 to more than $1 billion in less than 10 years, mostly due to the aging of the population. We've assembled a top-notch team of experienced professionals, including 3 PhDs and a chemical engineer, to develop this breakthrough drug I'm going to show you in a minute. Esther Priel, the scientist behind the technology, is a professor of molecular biology at Ben-Gurion University. She has over 35 years of research developing new drugs for the treatment of devastating, incurable diseases. Esther is a world expert in the field of neuroprotection by telomerases. Dr. Helena Greenberg has extensive background and experience in drug development and in medical devices. And Daniela Buchnik is a chemical engineer responsible for operations. And lastly, myself. I have more than 20 years of experience in business development and management in large pharmaceutical companies such as Teva and Excel, as well as in smaller biotech companies. I know how to develop a drug and how to commercialize and monetize it. Over the years, I came to realize that what excites me most are the early stage technologies that have a huge dream behind them, a chance to make a real difference in patients' lives. And so when I came across Professor Priel's technology, I immediately saw the opportunity to change the way we treat ALS patients. I'm truly excited to make it a reality and to get to work. One of the novel drugs that Esther developed is NT499, a small molecule which activates an enzyme called telomerase. This activation protects the neurons, prevents their degradation, and enables the growth of new ones. This is a paradigm shift in the treatment of ALS. Currently, there are no drugs that show such effect. And so our compound has a good chance to be not only first in class, but also best in its class. NT499 crosses the blood-brain barrier, it is active in nanomolar concentration, and it appears to be safe at the effective dose levels, all characteristics that make it a great drug candidate. When we treat ALS mice with NT499, which show symptoms very similar to human ALS, we see a significant delay in the time when the symptoms appear. And the treated mice also lived longer. Professor Priel research also showed the treated mice had 60% more neurons in the spinal cord than untreated mice. So what's next? We have a very clear path, a roadmap ahead of us. Within 2 years from investment, we will complete the preclinical work, we will submit an IND application to the FDA, and enter first-in-human trials. We anticipate to be in the clinic in 2 years, and with the help of Big Pharma, in the market within 5. Our goal is to bring to market a new breakthrough drug to treat ALS patients, which will significantly delay the onset and the progression of this horrible disease, and hopefully improve and extend patients' lives. Not having to pour ice buckets over ourselves in order to raise awareness for ALS would be an additional upside of our success. We're ready to get to work, and we thank you for your attention.